Uh, what's up, YouTube? Today, we got a casted game. My name is Kelsier AOE, and here with me I have Beyond AOE. I'll be linking his Twitch and YouTube in the description, so please go check that out and subscribe to him and follow him. And we're gonna hop right into it.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me on the channel. So today we have Divine DFP in the blue as the Roos, and on the far hand side we have sort of as the Ottomans in the green. Both these players are both pro players, and they both stream on Twitch as well. So they both provide educational content. Sort of. I've casted a few games of him in the past. He is a fan of the late game, so I wouldn't be shocked if we see kind of a into that Castle Age Plus from him. And Divine's usually pretty good at the Roost. Cast a few games from him as well, so should be an interesting matchup today.
Yeah, and I will link both of these players' Twitch and YouTubes in my description as well if you're interested in checking them out. So the first thing I've noticed right away that is a question answered for me, so I'm glad we picked this game. Sort of went for a second scout, and he skipped the military school opening against Roos. So that's always a question I have because I've seen a lot of a lot of players do it different ways, but I think sort of is a good person to learn that from. So interesting choices here. He chose to deny the bounty over getting the spearmen. So yeah, I mean the
Yeah.
spearmen don't have a lot of value against Roos in the early game, right? Because they don't gather gold.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how do you feel about this matchup as an Ottoman main yourself? What do you think about this matchup? Do you feel good going into it? Do you feel what's your game plan going against most Roos?
No, I don't feel good going into it. The thing about Roos, right, is they have that Kremlin that's very defensive, and they can get their second TC up without like you being able to harass them very much. So then they can kind of just like sit on their second TC and their Kremlin, and they'll have all their resources defended. While as the Ottoman player, you're just kind of like um, trying to trying to find a place to attack and getting frustrated, right? So this will be a really good opportunity for me to see how it's played.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be one of those things where, I mean, the Roos, from what I've seen, pretty much always go a very similar build almost every game. They go the 2 TC with that aggression with those archers and those early knights, and you can kind of play off of whatever the situation kind of comes to after that. So it does seem like it's pretty hard to stop. That builds for the Roos has been kind of stock standard for about 2 seasons now. So interested to see if Divine kind of changes it up. I will say 3DB and the 3D clan definitely have their own unique takes on the Roost build. So that's one of the more fun ones if you are a Roost player and you want to check out some interesting people that do unique builds. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Divine go for that kind of more standard build.
Yeah, I watch a lot of Divine stream, and um, I think it's cool to see him on this more aggressive civ because when I used to watch his stream a lot, it was always English, and he was always doing like a 3 TC White Tower. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll be interested to see him playing a Night Civ with more aggression and see how he plays it. How much
Yeah.
bounty do you think he's got, by the way? It seems to me like the bounty is really going in Divine's favor so far, but
I mean, off the rip, I mean, he definitely has a lot because he has plenty of gold. He already has 270 gold at this point, so he's probably sitting at like around 200, I would guess. What do you think? More than
I
that?
think it's a lot. I think he's probably at 300 or 350. He's already got the wheelbarrow as well.
That's true. Yeah, he has wheelbarrow as well. I didn't see that. So that's he's sitting really, really good right now.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll check that bounty after he kills this wolf here.
that's true. Another wolf down.
Let's talk
Well, he
about
did go
this
three
Kremlin
scouts.
position, man. This is insane.
Yeah, it protects pretty much everything. We have 2 stones, gold, and a berry as well. So he's going to be able to get as many, and deer behind it, I think.
Yep,
Yeah, deer
deer.
behind it as well. So five resources, 2 food, 2 stone, and a gold. I don't think you get much better than that.
Yeah, that's an insane Kremlin right there. Let's check on his bounty right now. I'll have to switch to the regular UI for a second here. He's got 305 bounty, so that's pretty dang good at this level.
Yeah, he's chilling. He invested in those 3 scouts, so it's good that he got the investment back on. So it's always really tough when you invest into 3 scouts and you don't get much return or the return that you might like to see. Sort of did go for 2 scouts, so did try to deny at least some of them.
Yeah. Um, it's looking good in the in the bounty department for sure. I'm always happy if I have 300 bounty as Roos. So
I don't think I've ever actually played Roost before, so I don't think I've ever been happy or sad about a bounty positioning in my entire life. It looks like Divine, though, did try 3 attempts at that Kremlin drop, which I appreciate how perfect he wanted to get that placement of that Kremlin. Just dropped it
yeah,
over there, then dropped it over there. But you know what? Practice makes perfect, so he got every... I think when he put it down at the beginning, he didn't realize just how many resources were over there, and then I think he saw them when it all lit up, and he wanted to make sure that they were all within range.
yeah, and I also want to highlight something Divine did as well. He he like ran out of sheep for a minute, and instead of just panicking and doing nothing with his villagers, he immediately cut down the straggler trees and turned in the wood, and then went back onto the sheep when he got the sheep to his town center. So that's a really good response, I would think. I mean, it's never good to run out of sheep, but at least he kept the villagers working.
Yeah, something I can definitely take from that as well is keep the villagers working, keep them always going a little bit. I see Rob the Viking do that a lot as well. If he ever doesn't have enough sheep or anything like that, he always just moves them to a straggler tree or just something just to try to get a little bit of... Because they're already going to be doing nothing, so you might as well at least get something out of the deal.
So let's talk about what these players are going for right now. Divine, no surprise, is going for the second TC. He opted to not go for any units beforehand, which is something the Roos can get away with the Gremlins. But I'm more interested in what Sort of is doing on the other side, and he's also going for a second TC. So he will be able to scale his economy as well.
Yeah, I mean they're both doing a pretty good job at scouting. That's the thing when there's 5 scouts in the map for for the total players, two on one side, 3 on the other. There's going to be plenty of vision to come around. As you can see, sort of scouts just kind of hanging out in that stealth forest up there, and Divine's going to be dropping down a TC, perfectly defended by this Kremlin. So I'm sure that Divine is faced in that Ottoman all-in that we talked about in the video that we did together on my channel about attempting. I'm sure he's seen that plenty of times as well, so wants to put that in the most defensive position possible.
Yeah, that is a really nice TC location. I mean, it's also interesting how he's gathering this wood out here. That is a little bit, you know, it could get harassed by some Sapahi here in a minute, so we'll see how that plays out.
Is that because it's in range of the Kremlin?
Yeah, that's why he's gathering that wood, is because of the Kremlin. But
Yep.
it's still interesting. It's a little bit exposed, so we'll see if Sort of realizes that and maybe gets a raid off there.
Absolutely. And this position over here, pretty standard for sort of TC, just right onto the deer at the kind of right side of his base. So nothing too crazy. Pretty much every TC I see dropped is usually on a deer pack, which is stock standard if you want to be dropping those TCs.
Exactly. And he got the 2 military schools down before he went for the TC, which I think is important distinction to make. I think it is important to get those military schools going as soon as possible and then go for the TC.
Now, my question about sort of base for you as the Ottoman player.
Oh,
I see
Divine's
that
going
his...
for 3.
Oh yeah, he is. In sort of space, you can see the military schools are separate. Are they still going to be within range of that blacksmith right there? So even though they're that far away, will they still get the boost?
Yeah, don't try this at home. That's an extremely advanced way to to place your military schools. Like, I certainly don't have that knowledge without seeing the blueprint of the blacksmith myself, but Sort of as a pro, he knows exactly what he's doing. So it looks like they will both be in range of this blacksmith, and he will have the optimal amount of space to build more production.
That's wild. You can just place that down that early, but 3 TCs this quickly. So we're definitely. I mean, I didn't guess the player correctly, but at least I know that we're going to the late game. At least somewhat of the late game for sure, with 3 TCs and 2 TCs dropped at the same time.
Yeah, I imagine both of these players will not make a lot of units before Castle Age. Now, we'll see. I could be wrong about that, but I imagine they're gonna be kind of just macroing into Castle Age here. A feudal push from this position for Sort of would be extremely tough. With the Kremlin and these 2 TCs, like, I actually think that if Sort of was going to make any kind of push, he would, like, it would just really struggle. I mean, think about how many arrows would be firing from from this
No,
location.
and there'd be Kremlins popping out instantly. So if you made a
Right.
push, there'd be arrows galore. There would be where do you see a knight coming out as well, and then there would also be just an absolute 1,000 gremlins popping out, doing a lot of damage. And actually, a gremlin's popping out right now, trying to do a little bit of harass early on. I think they're over there by the Sapahi up top by the deer.
Yeah,
There
the
they are.
Sapahi just went over and killed that boar, actually, so sort of denying a little bit of bounty there.
It's always nice to get those little micro wins. That's something that I can't focus on in my gameplay because I need to focus on the basics. But those micro wins are so important at this level. Even the smallest of influencing in the game will change the tide.
Right.
Swerve's definitely feeling pretty good about his spot right now. But I mean, honestly, probably so is Divine because you're just hard. You're just hard chilling right now with 3 TCs.
No, Ascalad, you're gonna need more units than that. Sorry, I was just responding to a
Oh
question in
no,
chat.
absolutely. Oh, and I see Saria said that Sorv is a fan of short games. I mean, if he's a fan of them, that's totally fine. But why is it every time I cast him, he goes over 30 minutes? So he might be a fan, but he's definitely good at late game, regardless.
Yeah, I think to be a player of sort of caliber, you have to be able to play late game to, yeah,
He's really good
pretty
at
well.
it, so he should. I hope he likes it at least similarly as the short games.
Sort of is making a few more units than I expected before Castle Age here, but it does look like he's macroing for Castle Age behind these units, so I think he quickly realized he wasn't going to get much done with these units, and this forces just kind of to harass anywhere that he can as he goes to Castle Age.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you mentioned, the kind of expansion over there from Divine is not really rateable with the amount of arrows they're going to be firing at these Sapahi. So if they do make any motions towards it, they're going to be cut down pretty quickly.
He might get a villager. No, I thought he might get that villager kill on the house, but no.
Listen, I've been casting these games for a while. I never make the call before it happens because it always goes the other way. That's what happens. Whenever you make a call in casting, it always goes the other way. And if you're like, wow, I can't believe they're getting away with this, and they haven't scouted it yet, 3 seconds later, a little scout just comes popping over the hill and scouts whatever they're seeing. So there's the armor in the backhand side.
Right. Yep. The going up with this landmark, you never really see the other landmark from Ottomans. I mean, free siege is just too valuable. So.
Yeah, and Divine's got to build up some of these knights to actually mount a defense. You can see he's floating enough food for Castle Age, but he didn't have enough gold just yet because he had to build some extra knights to put on the defense.
Right, and he is making the correct response unit-wise, which is just... He recognizes that sort of is not building more spearmen, so against this unit comp you can just go all knights.
We have a nice engage in the middle of the map. The Knights versus the Pahi, and it looks like Sorb is going to come out on top with just the sheer amount of units that were there. But the Knights are going to come back pretty unscathed, so not like a terrible trade for either side, but it looks like Sorb had just enough spears in there to turn the tide.
Yeah, and I said, forgive me for being completely wrong. I said sort of was not making spears, and that was not true. Sort of is making spears, so...
It's okay. I've been told that in casting that you shouldn't apologize, so you just keep on moving on. I've been actually yelled at on my channel for apologizing, so just keep on moving on, because it happens, because, I mean, we're going to be talking for, like, 30 minutes plus, so,
right.
like, there's bound to make mistakes, so just roll with it. We see the Abbey Trinity coming out, so he's going to need to get these relics secure, but I don't know if he's going to have enough map control to actually get the relics in the middle of the map, because Sword has quite the force, and that Mango's coming out.
Yeah, the mango's coming out already, and we see double monasteries out of the Ottomans player as well, so it'll be interesting to see who comes home with more relics here. I know it would hurt for Divine to have gone for this Abbey and not get a lot of relics, so, because obviously you can get a lot of value out of the other landmark.
Yeah, you really need to, because I think it was Tim that I was casting with before, and he said, like, the Abbey of Duality is not what you want to see. You want to see the Abbey of Trinity for sure. So Divine definitely needs to make sure he gets these relics, but it's going to be really hard to push that Sword's army off of that middle relic, and I think Sword can also defend that top side relic as well in the middle of the map. So he has 3 relics that are within sight, so I think it could be advantageous for Sword if we have a little raid going on here. Looks like he's going to get just enough damage. Looks like one village is going to be going down, another one as well. 3 in total 4, which is actually a huge get, and it doesn't actually go down. That Wooden Fortress is actually not going to be dropped until right now.
Yeah, that was a good couple kills there. He's now up to 4 build kills total. And this is kind of where, like, Divine going for 3 TCs is hurting him a little bit here with the map control. Because
Yep.
the Ottomans were able to put out more units, and they're kind of denying these relics right now. I'm actually surprised Divine hasn't sent one of these. Okay, there. As I say that, he's going out for this safe relic on the right now, so you can at least secure that one relic. And sort of's grabbing this one in the middle, so that's good for him.
Yeah, Sort of has now one of the highly contested relics. If he can get one more, he's going to be in a really good position for this late game against Divine. But Divine does have a 15 villager lead because of that third town center, so it could be some chance that Warrior Monk decided to take on the Sipahi army by himself, went down pretty quickly, and there goes the Knight. So Sorov just getting a little bit aggressive just to make sure utilizing his army lead at the current moment, especially with this many spears, 17 on the map at the current state. We also have the Horse Archers coming in. A little wall action. There's no way a pro is going to fall for that, so it instantly drops back. But it's a good way to secure that relic for sure.
I don't like the play into Horse Archers here.
Yep.
It's just not a good combat unit. It's for me, I use Horse Archers if I feel like I'm really far ahead and I feel like I can raid my opponent to death. That's not the situation in this game at all. So I don't really like the play into Horse Archers.
And Sora was able to pick off that relic down below and the relic on the top side. So I think Sora's going to get 4 relics, which is going to be absolutely devastating for Divine. And I totally agree about the Horse Archers. I think it's a tough transition at this point, just because also with the Ottomans being in that Castle Age and having this much map control, it's going to be really hard to get some good value, especially with the men at arms coming out. There's going to be mangoes attacking them. And they're pretty good, but sort of has the entire wall off of his base going on right now, so it's going to be kind of hard to find a range and a time to actually utilize their strengths.
And we had a question in chat about which drum the meta was... What tune the meta was beating to, and he's beating to their ranged defense drum, which makes sense because most of the time that sort of's used his army, it's been to dive under this arrow fire, whether it be from the TC or the Kremlin, so I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I will say there's a lot of knights on that map right now. 12 is a substantial amount.
Yeah, there's 12 knights, but there's crossbows, 12 crossbows and 12 spears from sort of, and a mangonel already as well. So plus the Sipahi. This force is looking really deadly.
You might have sold me on playing Ottomans. They're looking pretty fun right now, and I'm seeing lots of videos as well about all these all-ins that are happening in Feudal Age. So I could be persuaded to play. I might have to come back on stream though for you to help me with my first couple build orders because I'm gonna be terrible. We have a keep drop going down. Is that for Divine? It is for Divine. I thought it was for Sort of.
Yeah, and I think Sort of could stop this. I think his army is good enough, but I'm not 100%. It is the force from Divine is getting pretty large.
Mangonel.
Ooh, that's...
Oh my goodness! One more shot, and there we go. It's gonna be instantly stopped because those villagers cannot take one more hit from that Mangonel. This Ottoman Mangonel is doing so well. There's another one on the map. It's going to be coming out across the map. The Mangonel is also in position again. Fires. Misses just enough. It's okay.
The gremlins are coming in, though. There's lots of gremlins that just got spawned and moving forward here. And Divine pulled a lot more villagers for this keep as well. He wants this keep to go down.
Divine is going all in. The Mangonel is firing upon those backside villagers. It is going to get one more off, and it looks like he's going to get some good value out of it, but not just enough. The keep does end up going up, and the Horse Archers are making quick work of the remainder of the army. There's 2 Mangonels involved here, and they're starting to take away at the Horse Archers, but now the Knights are in onto the Mangonel, which is never what you want to see as the Ottoman player.
Yeah, and what was I going to say? I was the gremlins made all the difference there. Like I would not have called that fight for Divine, and then 30 gremlins show up, and I think that's why a lot of pros are a little bit of the pros think that Rus is maybe a little bit too strong right now, and that's why it's that ability to instantly spawn that many units and send them into the battlefield like that. It makes a gigantic difference in these games.
Absolutely, and regardless of what happens in this game itself, it's also the Kremlin gave Divine the ability to just go for a naked 3 TC. You know what I mean? Like that. He didn't have any defenses. He just had the Gremlins and the Kremlin, and yes, sort of went for that 2 TC build. But as you mentioned, his army just realized it couldn't do any damage just yet, so he had to go up to Castle Age. But most civilizations would have faced at least some harass from that early Ottoman army if they went that 2 TC without much defenses.
Yeah, and Ascalon is saying in chat that that fight was really bad for Divine because he lost all the knights. That is true, but at the same time, before that fight, the destroyed value was really heavily in favor of Sort of, and he needed this keep to go down to survive, but he is left with an army of all horse archers, which is not ideal. So he definitely needs to get other types of units on the field here. And we're seeing Springolds come out to deal with Mangonels and some more knights coming out onto the field. But I think I would like to see Divine switch off the horse archers. But that's just me.
Yeah, and look at Sora's army though. 18 Janissaries. We have 2 Mangonels. We have Trebuchets. We have Springhold. So like, I mean, yes, he fended off that first force with that keep, but he's gonna be facing some heavy impact from there. And also remember, Sort of can also make this production of Janissaries as well because he has 4 relics sitting at home in those 2 monasteries just hanging out.
Right, and the Janissaries are going to counter every single unit that that Divine is making. It's going to counter the horse archers, the knights, and the warrior monks. So, I mean, not
I
that
was gonna
warrior
say,
monks
what
do too
counters
much.
Janissary? Just siege?
Archers are good against Janissaries, as well as, obviously,
Okay.
the Mangonels, but,
Yep.
yeah, archers do well against Janissaries.
And then
I don't know what
I
else,
actually
though,
didn't know this
honestly.
from last. I actually didn't know from this last game I casted from an Ottoman perspective. Why do the Ottomans place a unit in their siege?
So the Ottomans have a Vizier point that is called Siege Cruise. So they
Okay.
can place 1 unit in each of their siege weapons, and it gets a faster fire rate. But we do
Okay.
see a nice little raid out here with the Sipahi. This is one of the first, like, real, like, just a small group of units raiding we've seen this game, honestly. And it looks like Divine's just going to surround it with the villagers and cut his losses here. Maybe loses a vill or 2, but it's
I
what
love
it
how
is.
the other squad just rolling around the mining camp, just like, you guys got that right. The butter knives are out. We're good to go. I'll just take a little merry-go-round around here, just as you guys take care of that.
Yeah, and
That'd be me, honestly. I don't want to face the Sipahi as a villager. That'd be a rough go.
see, I would have been focused on the front line and probably just missed the raid entirely, and then when I saw it, I would have retreated the villagers instead of realizing I could fight it, right? So that was a good play from him to just go ahead and fight that, because he would have had a lot of idle time if he chose to retreat those villas.
Exactly, and he's also sitting on 130 villagers right now, so even if he loses a few, it's totally okay. Like, that's not the part that he's struggling with this game. It's more the army composition right now is looking a little bit more in favor of Sort of. We'll have to wait and see when a major fight breaks out in the middle of the map. It looks like that's going to be the focal point right now.
Yeah, I just don't see, like, with the unit composition that Divine's going for, I don't see the big fight going well for him, as you kind of just said. But it looks like we're getting close here to
Just kidding.
seeing this this big siege battle go down.
We're close. It's on. We're just like, we're getting the early age. Oh, looks like we might actually have it now. The knights are now moving in. The Janissaries are going to absolutely evaporate that front line. We have Mangonels that are firing in on the backhand side, absolutely melting those horse archers.
Oh
The Janissary ball is absolutely getting too much for Divine to actually pull back, and he has to actually pull back. But that was a massive W for Sort of. Completely takes control of the middle of the map.
Yeah, that was really, really bad for Divine. I mean, his knights evaporated into thin air.
Yeah, the Janissary's count is still sitting at 33 for Sort of right now, which is absolutely massive. Anything that gets near that mass is going to be deleted, and Divine still has not made 1 Mangonel, so there's really nothing that's going to like threaten them at this point in time.
This is an interesting time to go for Imperial Age after losing a big fight like that, but we'll see if Divine can make it work here.
Is it one of those things where like maybe this is the only play he can think of that he can actually win the game by? Like if he stays if he stays in castle, there's no way he wins this, right? So maybe the thought process is my last shot is to get to Imperial and hope that the upgrades can keep me alive long enough to even this out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing he's looking for is the sprinkled range,
Mm-hmm.
to try and get rid of some of the siege from sort of. So I guess that's his thought process. I'm not sure if I agree that that was his only play. But he's a better player than me, so he probably knows better. But I guess that's what Divine felt like his only option was at this point, especially since he's been so committed to these horse archers for so long. He's still, I don't know if he's still making them, but that's still like most of his army here is these horse archers, and I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think about the Seagate Castle being dropped down for Sorb? You think that's the best Imperial landmark for Ottomans right now?
Yeah, I prefer the Seagate Castle if I'm gonna end up. To be honest, I do not get to Imperial Age with Ottomans very often, but when I
Okay.
do, I prefer the Seagate Castle, just so that if it goes into hyper late game and I switch into trade, I can have that bonus on my traders. But yeah, this is just for like he's placing it really forward, so it is gonna control this big gold as Ascalad is pointing out in the chat, and yeah, just just have another keep out there, another defense, kind of thing. The other
Absolutely.
landmark is alright as well, though. I'll go for that sometimes, depending on the situation. But most of the time, I like the Seagate Castle. Just sometimes I'll drop it in my opponent's base, even.
See, you are a part English player at heart for sure. If you're dropping landmarks in their opponent's base, I think that's the most fun part about playing English for me is dropping those landmarks there. But definitely, Sorb is definitely taking control. He has 3 keeps across every major gold across. He's really taking control of this entire middle of the map. All these stealth forests are just like waiting for a mangonel shot to fire upon this entire army. And now he has 3 trebuchets hammering down these forward keeps, and I'm not really sure where Divine goes next. He has enough stone to drop another keep, but at this point he's using more of that stone to repair keep, so I don't know what's going to be. They're going to have to do a major engage soon, but Sora is probably just going to be waiting for all those upgrades in the top-hand side to kind of go through.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should be in a good spot.
And I'm kind of wondering how like the Springleds will perform for Ottomans here, because they will have that bonus fire speed. I mean, I think the range is probably a bit better, but maybe you can still win the Springled Wars. I also think, though, that if Divine moves out of position with his siege here, sort of might be able to just wipe everything with his units. But it is looking like a very siege-heavy comp for both players right now, which is to be expected at this point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we're looking like Divine's trying to get this keep all the way up. And then we're going to be seeing that Divine's going to be looking for some sort of, just to do a little bit of harassment on these golds over here. But these horse archers have not much armor, so they're going to be absolutely shredded by all these keeps. And they're going to find yet another keep is going to be in their way to stop them from getting that gold. And now it's going to be another engage. These Janissaries are purely Janissaries absolutely melting that front line. Still no mangonel on the map for Divine to do that AoE damage, so he's absolutely destroying this army over here. We do have Streltsy on the backhand side doing their best to do a little bit of damage, but these Janissaries are doing their best to take this down. We do have mangonels on the backhand side doing a ton of damage, but these improves Springleds are actually doing a lot of damage, and Sorb has to actually fall back from that fight.
Yeah, he has to fall back, but Divine has no way to break these keeps right now or to break these defenses. He's still okay. The Rams are coming in now, so
oh, you knew the Rams were coming. This is the Roost we're talking about. They're always coming when the Roosts are out.
Wait.
I think. Oh.
Can we talk about what I just clicked on right here? We see a Ribaldiquin on the field for this Ottomans player, sort of. And we also see that Divine has moved out to mine this gold, and he didn't know about the Seagate Castle, so his villagers are getting massacred out here. Absolutely massacred on this gold mine, and he's not responding to that.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, maybe he just decided to move on and just like, we just need to get some gold and we'll take the loss because we already have so many villagers and we have a stockpile of food, but
I have to think he was just focused on something else.
Yeah, Sipahi are now moving in, trying to attack all this siege, but that Ottoman siege line is absolutely brutal. There's nothing really take it down at the current moment. These Springholds are taking down the Rams from long range, which is nice. The Revolta Queen does end up going down. We see tons and tons of horsemen now rolling in, and we also see, is that a bombard over there as well? So we pretty much have every siege in the book coming out for Sword Up. He's utilizing the entire book.
Yeah, and the Divine is about to run out of gold. He's on this gold, this small gold in the back here, but that's going to be about it for gold for him, so he really has to get this keep down and establish control over one of these gold veins.
Yeah, if he doesn't, it's going to be really rough. And you can see his gold is really sitting pretty low. And then also, I know we mentioned this earlier, but Sorb is also sitting on those 4 relics. So even if something goes awry with the middle gold vein, Sorb is going to have a better passive gold income than Divine anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And the Roost Springolds might have the range, but sort of has a lot more Springolds on the field right now. He's got 6 compared to only 2 on the Roost side at this point, so I don't think the range is going to be enough to make up for that. And it looks like sort of can finally push forward a little bit here.
Yeah, we're seeing another engage in the middle of the map. We have all that siege going absolutely crazy. The mangonels are firing upon all the Streltsy and all of those horsemen in the front hand side. Even the Springholds are getting involved and just shooting down this army one by one. The mangonels are getting more in position as we go, and it's just going to be an absolute slaughter in terms. And there's the Gremlins coming out in full force. So if Sorf sees this, he might back off. Yeah, there goes all of his siege. They don't want any of the smoke of all those Gremlins, and just wait patiently for it to fight another day. But it looks like we're going to go back in because he wants to save these Janissaries.
Yeah, the 3 mangonels will probably make short work of that mass of Gremlins there, especially with the Janissaries firing as well. And I think this is going to be GG any second here, in favor of sort of. Just taking control of all the golds on the map, playing very methodically. Divine is trying to trade now, but I don't think that's going to be enough.
No, I think it's a little bit too late. It's one of those things where the trade will take a while to get up and running, and by that time, Sorv's going to have a full army yet again knocking at his door, so I think it's going to just take a little bit too much time to get fully up and going. Sorv's also sitting on 2,200 stone, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see another keep being dropped a little bit closer in front of that Seagate Castle to get even more damage to Divine's production.
Yeah, I would expect that any minute now.
But at this point, also Sorv's actually kind of okay to kind of chill as well. You know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. He can just hang out. He's got 3 trebuchets. He's got 5 mangonels. He has a great bombard on the way. So he's just pretty much, he's in the driver's seat. He's just going to kind of go from there.
Yeah, unfortunately, guys, if you're watching the YouTube video, I'm sorry for how loud those follow noises were from my stream. I was not prepared for that to happen, but it's okay. Thank you for the follows, everybody, and yeah, that was loud.
Well, I didn't hear it, so I'm just gonna pretend like it was great. And yeah, I mean, 2 follows is never the worst. So, and if they've made it this far, they're already they're already liking the content, so you're good to go. This is we're 33 minutes deep, so if they're all the way here, then it's okay.
Absolutely. I think that I know I've said this already, but I do think that sort of is going to be to overwhelm Divine pretty soon and put an end to this game. The siege mass is insane here for him. The mangonels are going to make a gigantic difference. They're going to destroy the Streltsy, and yeah, that's the entire army from Divine gone.
They're making really quick work. These Springholds are trying their absolute best to hold the line, but this siege army is just too massive, as you mentioned, from sort of. He even has Rams attacking the farms on the backhand side. Rams just went casually past this entire army. Still has trebuchets, and that great bombard is in production, and it will pop out eventually. And when that comes out in the field, it's probably going to be GG when that rolls out.
Yeah, I mean, Divine has Springolds, but that's about all he has, right? So it's not looking pretty for him.
I was actually just going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if we see sort of invest into a few Sipahi. Sipahi are so good at tracking down those enemy sieges in this kind of environment with that extended range and damage. They evaporate them quite quickly. I was casting an Ottoman game, I think 2 days ago, and that's what happened every single time. And we see 6 more Sipahi are in production. So it looks like they're going to be using that the alternative to Springholds, which is just like running your cavalry right on past the army and just hoping for the best.
Yeah, but sort of does have what 8 Springolds now as well, so he's
Absolute
covered in
army.
all directions.
He really is. He's got the. He's just. This is methodical at this point. This is like when people talk about like exactly what to do in a game. This is exactly what you do. You don't take any chances, and you methodically move out as you have more and more advantages. And that's exactly what Torb's doing right now. He's just not taking any chances, slowly moving up his forces and doing so much damage to this Roost player.
Yeah. Sort of gonna lose a little bit of siege here, but it doesn't. It's too little, too late out of Divine here.
Yeah, and I mean this is just an absolute clinic of what to do with these trebuchets too. He's kept these three alive this entire time. They haven't died once, so he hasn't had to replace them. I lose trebuchets all the time, so this is an absolute miracle to watch someone just like casually keep these things alive for like 17 minutes.
Yeah, that is actually a really good point. I would have lost those to Springolds, especially Roof Springolds, a while ago.
That's what I mean. He's kept these bad boys alive this whole time.
Yeah, but this game is looking very over. I expect Divine to call it any second now.
You'd be surprised. You never know. Sometimes they keep it alive. They keep it going for just a little bit longer. Let you talk a little bit longer, but now keep going down.
Yeah, and this keeps gonna deny all wood from Divine, and that's what I love about watching the pros is they're just clinical. They know exactly where to put the keeps to hurt their opponent the most. And this keep is going to be a game ender. He won't be able to gather wood anywhere after that. So
yeah, then no more.
Yeah,
there it is. GG's.
Wow, that was a good game. I'm glad I learned a lot from that.
Yeah, how did you enjoy your first casting experience?
Yeah, it was fun. Definitely something I could do a little bit more of. Thanks for helping me out with that, guys. And if you're watching on YouTube, once again, I was casting this game with BeyondAOE. I will link his socials in the description, so be sure to check him out, give him a follow and a sub. And I will also link sort of and Divine's socials in my description, so be sure to check them out. Thanks for watching, and like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.